Well, to God be the glory again. We just thank God for another Transformation Wednesday. Say that. Say that with me. Transformation Wednesday. It is the concept of attempting to transform your mind in 15 minutes. And we've been doing this now for 4 or 5 years, certainly since during COVID, and it is still going on now. And I believe we've had some success with it. Why not 30 minutes? Why not an hour? Because the analytics just don't support it. We could teach an hour, but what would be the point if you clicked out of it 8 minutes in, or it's on, but you're cooking and eating and got Family Feud on volume low 10 minutes in. All right, so we endeavor. We figure the least you could do is call your attention, summon your senses, summon your attention together for 15 minutes. You can do 15 minutes. Let me say it again. You can do 15 minutes. All right, and so that's what we're asking for. We're asking for your attention in 15-minute intervals, and we do that because, again, the analytics just don't support really anything longer. Really, it doesn't support anything longer than 3 minutes. But I would not rob God and just do 3 minutes. So that's where the 15 minutes is birthed from. Shout out to all my pastors and colleagues and co-workers and clergy co-workers who are teaching hour and a half. You know, that's how God leads you. Then let him lead you. And we salute you in that effort. As relates to us, we try to do it in digestible chunks. I want you to share, like, and subscribe. If you are viewing it live, put something in the chat. Do not just sit on the sideline and just watch. At least say hi to us in the chat. So go ahead, I'm gonna give you a chance to do all that. Say hello, welcome us. If you're watching and you're not from Michigan, just put your state in there. We'd be so grateful. We love it when people watch us from around the world. Just put your state, even if you watch it later, not watching live, put your state in there so that we can at least give a shout out to God's expansion of ministry during this time. So again, we just thank God for all of you. Our question tonight is another good one. I want to thank God for whoever asked this question. How do you get on one accord when it comes to money and bills? How do you get on one accord when it comes to money and bills? And so we'll look at that in a second. All right. Got 15 minutes? Good. All right. Now, this question is a little bit funny because it seems to make the suggestion that bills have some say in this. How to come on one accord when it comes to money and bills. Well, you're going to make that choice. You're going to determine how money and bills come on one accord. In and of themselves, they're in their own entity. Money does what it does. Bills do what they do. But all of those are driven based on our choices, or more specifically, he who wrote it, she who wrote it, based on your choice. So how do you get on one accord when it comes to money and bills? Now, this is a good question. It's a historical question because we God knows we know a whole bunch of people that are struggling in the area of finances. I think one year we preached, I'm feeling well, but my money is sick. So I want to encourage you to, I think that might be 2 years ago in one of our February series, go back and look at those for more extensive spans of this question. But how do you get on one accord when it comes to money and bills? And I imagine, now we're in the February, so that means all the Christmas bills have come up. Your credit cards are screaming, hey, kind of deal. And you start saying to yourself, oh man, what did I do? Or oftentimes, if you got kids, some of the stuff you bought It's probably tore up now. So these bills are here and the money's here and the money's saying, what's up? And the bills are saying, what's up? And between the two, you're just trying to see how to make them come together. Now, this question was clearly asked before the holiday. So this is not a throws at the holiday per se. But coming into one accord with money and bills is historical for our culture. It is historical for scripture. It is historical in the throes of finances. There are some people who are born with silver spoons. Some people who were born and when they got to a certain age, mom and daddy gave them the keys to the house. Gave them, hey, here's the $100,000 I had set up for you. Here are those stock options, or even to a lesser degree, maybe gave them their first car, or gave them the down payment on their first apartment or house, or whatever the case may be. To those, God bless you. To the other 99.9% of us, how do you make it come on one accord? So we'll look at Luke chapter 14, verse 28, because that ain't us. Somebody put in the chat, that ain't me. I didn't get no golden parachute when I got 18. And some of you in this chat, most of you in this chat, you did not either. So how do you make it come on course? So Luke chapter 14, verse 28, verse 30 gives us, I think, some more than sufficient insight. So in verse 20 says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. All right. And you could, that part of the verse can say anything. So let's enlarge it a little bit. So suppose one of you wanted to buy a car. Suppose one of you wanted to go to college. Suppose one of you wanted to upgrade your house. Suppose one of you wanted to buy Rams. Whatever it is. That part of the verse can literally be expanded into any what if. All right. So it says, suppose one of you wanted to build a tower. What is the first thing you will do? All right, now think about that for a second, because this is the missing step. But it says, if you're going to build a tower, here's the first thing you should do. It says, won't you sit down and figure out how much it will cost? Well, now I'm just stop there a second. So suppose one of you want to build a tower. It says the first thing you would do is sit down and determine how much it will cost. Now, we don't read no other part of the verse. Let's just stop there, because that alone is huge. It suggests, it affirms the idea that before we go get whatever it is we want to get, we should take a moment and at least try to figure out, what is the cost to have this thing, this item I'm trying to get? Now, many of us buy things and we don't consider the cost ahead of time. We consider the cost at the time of the transaction. I just want you to think about that. We consider the cost at the time of the transaction. We do not consider the cost ahead of time, because if you considered the cost ahead of time, it may help you determine if this is the right time. Glory to God. See, all things are lawful. Another scripture says all things are lawful, but some things are not expedient. I know I've shared this on some other 15-minute transformations, but I didn't get my first car until I was 35. May have been a little bit older. First new car, not until I was 35. First new car at 35, or a little bit of the following. Now I'd gone to college. I was working. I was working in my career. I was making good money. But I didn't get my first new car. Now, why didn't I buy my first new car until I was 35? Why didn't I do what my boy did? My boy had a Mustang at 19. No one, too. You imagine in 1980, 89, 90, having a fresh Mustang? It was sweet. But anyway, why didn't I do that? Because for me, I knew I could not afford, watch this, the relative cost. The relative cost. All right. And before we buy things, we have to consider the relative cost. All right. So what am I saying? That I could, while I may have been able to afford the car note, I could not afford the relative cost. What's the relative cost? Insurance, which at that time, your auto, help me out in here. Those of you know, at that time, auto insurance at that age for one car was $400 a month. I know with the changes they made to insurance, now you can get 2 or 3 cars, on the same plan for $400 a month. But at that time, insurance for one car, and if you had a new car, your insurance payment could cost more than the car, if not the same price. So there's a relative cost that I knew I was not able to afford. There's a relative cost that I knew that while I might have been able to afford the car, I could not afford the car and the payment. Add to that maintenance, the pre-planned maintenance, the expected maintenance they want you to have, all those kinds of things. And if something breaks, on the kind of car I was looking for, being able to afford that. So God bless me, like he has many of you. I with fantastic used cars. I've never had a used car that was a limit. I never had a used car that did not offer me a couple of years of faithful service. All the used cars I bought, God has certainly directed my path, and we've done well. But my first new car did not come until I was 35 because a brother had to count up the cost. I was married, we had kids, we house note and all that kind of stuff. It just could I afford the car note? Probably. But would it have affected other areas or other costs? Absolutely. And those are the things that the Bible is encouraging us. Sometimes the reason money and bills don't come on one accord is because we won't let them. What do you mean we won't let? We won't let them because we will not count up the cost. We will get the bill. I don't care how high the bill is. We will get the bill and know the bill is this high and know our money is this low. And now it's up to God to bridge this gap. And God is saying, wait a minute, wait, before I bridge this gap, because I can do it. He says, didn't I tell you to count up the costs? I told you to count up the cost, and many of us do not count up the cost. Which one of you won't sit down, figure out how much it costs, and if you have enough money to pay for it, and you have enough money to pay for it, not pay for it that month, and then it's repossessed the next month, not pay for it the next for the 2 months, 3 months, and then it's being foreclosed. I'm talking about sit down and figure out the cost, include the relative cost. What is the relative cost to own this vehicle? All right. And have enough money to pay for it. Otherwise, you will start building a tower. And again, insert whatever. Otherwise, you will buy the car. Otherwise, you will upgrade to the apartment and not be able to finish it. Then everyone who sees what is happening will laugh at you. And if they don't literally laugh, they may metaphorically laugh. Look at this. Look at this. And they're going to ask me for some money to help them out with that. You may get a Or I told you not to do that. And if you don't hear from them, you may even hear it within yourself. I knew I should have waited. I knew I should have got the raise and saved some money. I knew just because Simone got a new apartment don't mean I should have got a new apartment. I knew just because the Joneses got a camper and a motorcycle doesn't mean I should get a camper and a motorcycle. So they may not literally laugh at you, but you may hear, if not from out within, mm, 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 mm. So the Bible encourages us to count up the cost. Verse 30, they will say you started building, you started buying, you started upgrading, whatever it is, and you could not finish the job. That's a powerful statement there, because whatever, how do you bring bills and money on accord? You have to do it in a way that you're able to finish the job. So if you get a bill, make sure it's something you can pay. Now, listen to me carefully. Listen to me very carefully. I am not saying there are not times to get what you want. You stretch yourself a little bit. I'm not saying that. Of course, you stretch yourself to move into, when we came to this church, we stretched ourselves a little bit. Of course, when you move into upgrade to a house or whatever, you stretch yourself. But I'm saying that even as you stretch yourself, you're doing it in a way that maybe you can lower this bill, or you can take this off, and maybe you pay off 10 of these things down here, so that this bill and your money, while they still may not be on the same one accord, they're not that far apart. Look where I'm at versus here. All right. So of course, I'm not saying don't stretch yourself. I'm not saying be fearful of big purchases. I'm not saying don't go get it. Go get it. Of course, live life, enjoy life, but make sure whatever it is, you count up the cost. And that cost used in Luke chapter 14 is also associated with the relative cost. All right. And oftentimes we don't think about the relative cost, not just the cost to do it, but the relative cost associated with the expenses that come along with it. If we would do that tonight, if we would start considering not just the cost of a thing, but the relative cost to keep up with that thing, if we would do that tonight, if you would do that tonight, you will begin to see your bills and your money coming on one accord. Because if it don't make sense to you, you're going to hopefully start having some level of discretion on what you should and shouldn't do. Everybody wants a new big house. Everybody wants to drive, for me, S-Class, but whatever your car is. But everybody wants to have their deal. And I'm not here to knock that. I'm not here to kill your dreams. I'm not here to tell you don't go after it. I am here to say, just make sure that whatever it is, you're counting up that cost, because I want to make sure that whatever your blessing is. See, the Bible says the blessings of the Lord addeth no sorrow. So your blessing shouldn't become a curse. All right. The blessing you get in January should not become a curse to you in August and October. All right. Let those two marinate together. Let them two worship together. Let them two fellowship together, so that the blessing you get in January can be a blessing in March, August, November, December. Drive off the lot. I am so grateful that when God did allow me to finally get new cars, I drove off the lot feeling blessed. I didn't feel off the lot thinking, oh, how am I going to afford this car payment now? No, I drove off the lot blessed. And I want to encourage you to do the same. Even as it relates to fixing your credit before you go buy the car, so you can get more car for less money. But that's a whole nother, will be another week with that. But anyway, I want to just share that with you. How to get on one accord with your money and bills, count up the cost, not just the cost, but the relative cost associated with having that thing. And as you do that, you begin to see a little bit more of it make sense. Now, what you got to probably do now is dig out the hole. Spend the time digging out the hole. And as you do that, this is wisdom you can use today and certainly use for your next big purchase. All right, do that and watch God bless you. All right, to God be the glory.